Hello and welcome to Cathlates. This is Pilates with Dr. Catherine Lido. I'm going to be taking you through the basics today, just an introduction, so that you can do this leading up to some of the other live stream videos that I've captured for you. So first, just to say that you're exercising at your own risk. So if you are suffering from injury, returning from injury, if you have any underlying health conditions, make sure that you clear exercise with your doctor, with your GP before you proceed. Always listen to your body. Pilates should never, it might be sore in the way that normal weightlifting or any type of vigorous exercise can give you a little bit of that lactic acid buildup, but it should never feel stabbing or popping or anything that's truly uncomfortable. If that happens, stop immediately. So always listen to your body, adapt accordingly. I usually present 3 levels of my exercises. So if you start to wobble or shake, you always drop it down a level, because technique really is what Pilates is all about. So in order to get started, we're going to work through the 3 most important parts of Pilates, which is the posture, the pelvic floor engagement, and the lateral breathing. The lateral breathing takes the most time to get, so don't worry if it doesn't come easily. It takes a lot of practice. But you can, just as long as you don't hold your breath, it's fine. Okay? So the other thing I will say is I sometimes work with that, see that little yellow stretchy band in the corner. As you progress through your series of workouts, you might want to invest in one. You can use a pair of pantyhose, I've discovered, but really it's worth the £1.99 or £2.99, whatever it is, for a stretchy Pilates band. But everything else we do just with your own weight, your own body resistance. You can have a yoga mat or Pilates mat if you like, or you could just use a towel. It's good to have a towel and a spare cushion or something nearby in case you need to adapt for your knees or your lower back, and I'll tell you when you could use those. So okay, please watch this video once at least before getting started, but you can watch it as many times as you like in order to really get the technique down. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So as I said, I'm Catherine. I'm a fully qualified Pilates instructor. I'm not a fitness instructor. I'm actually a university lecturer. But I came to Pilates after having suffering a joint injury and discovering that actually I'm hypermobile. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the hypermobile type. So my joints are very, very loose. And if you think of yoga as sort of an out stretching, you can think of Pilates as in. Everything we do here is just all about tightening these core muscles, mostly the abdominal and pelvic floor muscles. Okay, so if you think Pilates is like the yin to yoga's yang, in some ways they're direct opposites, but they're very complementary. So if you do yoga a lot, you might actually find this more challenging than if you're not used to yoga, but it's great to do them both in combination. So to find our Pilates posture, make sure you have water, by the way, and you're in a well-ventilated room. Listen to your body, start with your feet together, stand nice and tall. To find our Pilates posture, we're going to turn our toes out into a V, and then we're just going to pull our heels out into parallel. And to make sure that these are hip distance apart, you can put your little guns on your hips, and if you point them down, you should shoot off your big toe. Then you're going to bend your knees nice and soft, and you can think about just tucking that pelvis under so the tailbone's headed directly to the floor. Sometimes in Pilates, they have you rock forward and back with your pelvis, like you're sloshing a bowl of water, but actually that can be really uncomfortable if you've got slip disc or lower back issues. So I just feel my tailbone right at the back, feel it headed straight to the ground. Your headlights, therefore, are facing forward. Your headlights are your hip bones. Then you roll those shoulders up, back, and down. You want to sit them in the little pockets where your little wings sit, your scapula sit there. And the last thing I like to do is just pull my chin in so that your neck, your spine is right in line. Your head is sitting right over your cervical spine. It's not particularly attractive, but it's good spinal health. Think about a string at the back of your head pulling up to the ceiling so you're nice and tall, even though your knees are soft. So this is your Pilates posture, okay? If you want, you can put your fingertips on your hips and your thumbs on your ribs, and it makes like this little square shape.
imaginary square between my fingers. If we like, we can practice walking around the room and holding this square solid. So take a couple steps and try and walk with your feet in parallel. Walk around the room and try not to let that square move. It takes a little bit of mindfulness, okay? So this is our Pilates posture, and we'll come back here a lot, okay? Feet hip distance, ankles in line with hips, in line with shoulders, and chin nice and stable. The second thing we're going to do is lift our pelvic floor. Pelvic floor is a hammock muscle from the front naughty bits to your rear naughty bits. And I do this at the beginning of each class, but actually you can do this as often as you like while waiting for a train or a bus or at work or during adverts or your podcast. You can even download an app that will remind you to do sort of Kegels or pelvic floor engagement. We might do them slightly differently here than you would do them in some other scenario, like for urinary incontinence. But basically it is like stopping a pee, but it's more than that. We scoop it up and in. We want to lift that pelvic floor up and in like you're zipping up a pair of jeans or walking into a pool of cold water or thinking about Hugh Jackman or Matthew McConaughey or Charlize Theron or Holly Berry. It's that feeling of inhale to prepare, exhale, close the pelvic floor doors, level 1. Pull it up and in, belly button comes to the spine, level 2. Level 3, your ribs knit together, your abdomen's nice and tight. Like I'm gonna punch you in the abdomen like you're Houdini, but keep breathing and release. So it's that feeling of all of this coming in and becoming nice and tight. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out, stop and hold a PP, level 1. Up and in, belly button to the spine, level 2. Level 3, ribs knit together, shoulders pull away from your ears, everything's nice and tight. Like I'm gonna punch you, grip on, grip on, grip on, grip on, release. So we are keeping our buttocks nice and soft. The squeeze is coming from the front up and in, not from the back, okay? So we're gonna try it one last time, don't hold your breath. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out, close the pelvic floor, level 1. Scoop it up and in, belly button to the spine, level 2. Buttocks are nice and soft, ribs knit together. Squeeze these ribs together. Everything's nice and tight, and release. So the good news is that we only engage between levels 1 and 2. So we're not gripping on. I just wanted you to practice what that felt like. It's good to practice it. But for the class, we're just closing the elevator doors and we're pulling it up and in so the belly button's against the spine. The bad news is you have to keep it like that for the whole hour, okay? So let's loosen up and try our lateral breathing. The very last bit that we're going to add. You put your hands on the sides of your ribs. Can you see how my fingertips are a couple inches apart? Then you pull your shoulder blades down your back. Can you see my shoulders are just at the bottom of the television? I want to breathe in deep and wide and expand the back of the ribs, but the shoulders will not rise because I'm not breathing up into my shoulders and I'm not breathing out into my diaphragm. So the belly button stays smushed up against the spine, and instead the front is nice and tight. We breathe deep and wide and expand like a bellows. Then we're gonna squish the air out by bringing our ribs in, pulling our pelvic floor up and pulling our belly button in. We'll expand all the air out by pushing it out through the mouth. Breathe in to prepare, deep and wide and low. Breathe out and squeeze. Fingertips can touch it. You've got them placed right. Breathe in and expand. Breathe out through a pursed lip. Watch my shoulders, they don't rise. I expand and I close. Last time, I'll show you from this side. Like an accordion. When you've exhaled, let your fingertips float to the ceiling, the elbows come into the waist, let them fall out to the side, and you feel a little squeeze between your shoulder blades here, like you're holding a rose between your angel wings. Try and hold on there and just release the arms. So if your pelvis is still tucked under, your belly button still to your spine, and your chin still tucked in, this is now your Pilates posture. Make sure your feet haven't narrowed, still hip distance apart. Fingertips on hips, thumbs on ribs, and we're ready for our first basic exercise. Shoulders stay down the back. Watch your shoulder if you can in your own video or a mirror, because they mustn't move as we inhale and lift one heel. Exhale, push it down through the ground. Other side. Inhale and lift. Your magic square doesn't move. Exhale, squeeze from the belly button to push that heel through the floor. Square doesn't move. Inhale and lift. Exhale, through the floor. Last time. Inhale and lift. Squeeze with the pelvic floor and the belly button. I lied. Let's do it again. Inhale and lift. Don't move. Just use the pelvic floor to push the heel through the ground. Last time. Inhale. Like you're pushing a rusty lever. Through the floor. Very good. Hang your arms down by your sides. We're just going to slide a toe in front of us and then straight back. You can leave your hands here or you can hang them down here, but we're going to inhale, slide it straight away. Squeeze it and hollow and pull it back. Good. So you can move left and right, but not up and down. Inhale away. Exhale. Use the belly button and the pelvic floor to slide it right back where it was. Stance doesn't narrow. Shoulders away from the ears. Inhale away. Exhale. Pull it back. Again, inhale away. Exhale. Pull it back. Last time. Inhale away. Exhale. And last one. Inhale away. Exhale. So you still got that Pilates posture. Pelvis tucked under, pelvic floor lifted, ribs knitted together. You can try and button your vest here, but also squeeze the shoulder blades with a rose at the same time. You'll find that you grow an inch taller. That's the Pilates promise. We're going to look a dress size smaller and an inch taller automatically. That goes for everybody. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead now and go through rolling through the spine, which is how we get onto the floor for 4-point kneeling. So again, this is just our basic warm-up. We do it every week, but I want to talk you through it once so you get the feeling. You can go ahead and actually do it against the wall if you want, but if you do that, I want you to have your feet maybe a good 6 inches away from the wall. I'm just going to come to the edge of my mat and find my Pilates posture again. Pull your toes into a V, your heels into parallel, knees nice and soft. Tuck the pelvis under so the tailbone's headed straight to the ground. Roll your shoulders up, back and down, and pull your chin in. If you can see yourself sideways, if you could take a picture of yourself, what you should see is your ear is over your shoulder, is over your hip, is over your ankle, all in one nice long line. What we're going to do is roll down and open each vertebrae one at a time. So if you do this against the wall, you can actually feel your head against the wall, shoulders against the wall, and each one's going to peel away. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze it and hollow the pelvic floor first, chin drops to the chest, shoulders roll up and away from your imaginary wall. You can walk the fingers down the thighs if you like, but the crown of the head becomes heavy as the upper body starts to melt towards the floor, but the belly button pulls to the ceiling. You don't have to come far. Start where you feel comfortable. Shake your head yes and no. And let all the tension out. Yes and no. Then breathe deep and wide into the back of the ribs. And as you exhale, think about tucking the pelvis under first. You can walk the fingers up, but each vertebrae restacks like a bicycle chain in your own time. And finally, the shoulders melt down the back, and the back of the head grows long, like it's being pulled up to the ceiling on a string, okay? Let's go ahead and do it one last time. And at the bottom, option to grab hold of opposite elbows and increase that stretch. Inhale to prepare. Pull the pelvic floor up, drop the chin to the chest. Shoulders roll up, and they round forward, and each vertebrae opens up. As the top of the head pulls towards the floor, it's like somebody's pouring warm water over your back. Belly button pulls to the ceiling, and when you get to where you feel comfortable, grab hold of opposite elbows, deepen the stretch, shake the head, yes, and no, yes, and no. Take a deep breath into the ribs. And as you exhale, you can walk the fingers up if you like, but you must firmly tuck that pelvis under first before you start to feel each vertebrae move. Then the shoulders start to slide down the back and the top of the head floats to the ceiling. You grow nice and tall. You can actually have somebody stand next to you and walk their fingers down your vertebrae as you roll down and back up. What you'll find is your lower back probably tends to move all in one row as you start to gain the mobility in your spine. So we're going to go ahead and get down onto our tabletop position just to practice our tabletop. Inhale to prepare. If you have bad knees, bad joints, if you're just starting back to exercise, you can end the warm up here and just do this until you feel comfortable. But if not, come with me. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, drop the chin to the chest. Roll those shoulders up and away from your imaginary wall as each vertebrae starts to mobilize. The belly button pulls to the ceiling, the top of the head to the floor, and when you get to where you feel comfortable, shake your head yes and no. Let all the tension out, yes and no. And then you're going to bend your knees and walk down to your 4-point kneeling position. You can fold the mat in half under your knees. You can place a towel or those little foam knee things under your knees if you've got bad knees. If you've got bad wrists, you can go ahead and roll up the end of your mat. It's completely up to you. Work to whatever feels comfortable for your body. But what you do want to do is check yourself in a video or a mirror such that your knees are directly under your hips and your wrists are directly under your shoulders. So it's probably a bit further in than you're used to. In most exercise classes, you tend to be something like this, but watch my thigh bone. Now it's parallel. Watch my wrists. Now they're parallel. Pull your shoulders away from your ears, but we don't want to come into extension like this. In fact, we never really extend the lower back in Pilates. Instead, think of a ruler from your head all the way to your tailbone, okay? Nice flat back. And in order to avoid that natural arch here, we pull those abs right up against the spine, pull those shoulders away from your ears, and now we're in a nice, strong tabletop position. So just to practice here, a couple moves. We're gonna mobilize our scapula. We do that by inhaling, exhale, hold the shoulder blades together, let the chest move towards the mat, but keep your vest buttoned. Don't let your ribs come apart or your belly button stick out. Come back to neutral. Inhale, exhale, push into the ground, separate the shoulder blades, push the upper back to the sky, but don't come into an angry cat position. It's just a small movement of the scapula. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Chest moves towards the ground, but the vest is still buttoned. Release, pelvic floor engaged. Exhale, push away on the floor and spread your angel wings, but don't come into an angry cat yet. Last time. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze the pelvic floor and the wings come together. Release. Exhale, spread. Scapula, wings move apart. Release. Now we're going to come to a full angry cat. We're going to inhale to prepare. Exhale. Think about squeezing that pelvic floor up. Tip the pelvis under so the lower back goes to the sky. Then the mid back. Then the upper back. Now spread your scapula and finally drop your head between your arms. Inhale. Exhale. Somebody pulls your tailbone to the wall and each vertebrae goes right back where it was. The head pulls in the opposite direction. We don't come into an arch. We're back to our tabletop. Your shoulders pull away from the ears. The head is pulling in one direction, the tailbone in the opposite. Inhale. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under. Lower back to the sky. Mid back, upper back. Spread your scapula, push into the ground, drop the head, inhale. Exhale, untuck the tailbone. Everything moves nice and flat, and you expand. Now we're going to move from the head first. Inhale. Drop the chin to the chest first. Push into the ground. Spread the scapula, upper back, mid back, and finally tuck the pelvis under. Inhale at the top. Exhale, unfold the head first. Head pulls, shoulders down your back, and finally the tailbone. Last time, inhale to prepare. Exhale, drop the chin to the chest. Spread your scapula, push into the ground. Upper back, mid back, lower back, arch, arch, arch. Inhale to the ribs, belly button tight. Exhale, head unfold, shoulders down the back. Come back to your tabletop. We're going to do a teeny tiny little movement here where we're going to bring our shoulder and our hip closer together. You can look over your shoulder if you like. You don't have to. What you must do is keep your back flat, just like a tabletop. There's a margarita on your tailbone. We don't want it to spill. It's a slow and controlled move. Breathe into your ribs to prepare. Pelvic floor lifted, belly button tight, and bring your shoulder and your hips a couple inches closer together, but don't arch your back, and release. Inhale. Squeeze up and hollow and move to the other side. Opposite shoulder and hip towards each other like a C shape with your waist. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, release. Exhale, other side. Shoulder and hip move towards each other, create a C shape. Your head can just move nice and natural. It's a natural extension of your spine. Last time, inhale. Squeeze it and hollow, margarita doesn't spill. Tilt your shoulder and hip together. Last time. Lovely. Release. Go ahead and take a child's pose if that's comfortable for you, or whatever you want to do to just stretch it out for a minute. And we're going to move on to our back. Remember, these are all just learning the basic principles. You can do these as many times as you like, because you can always strip it back to the principles. The more you do these tiny exercises, the better your posture, the better your abs will learn to sit right up against your spine, the better spinal health you'll have, the better you'll look in a swimsuit. So that's just a natural byproduct of good spinal health. So hopefully you can see me. I might just go ahead and tilt the camera down a little bit, but you're laying on your back with your knees hip distance apart and maybe 6 inches away from your bum. Get there however is most comfortable for you. So when we lie on our back, shift your pelvis around until you find the point where your tailbone is sitting nice and flat. Your pubic bone and your hip bones are in one plane. That might sound weird because we probably have bellies that stick up. I know I do, that stick up in the middle, but they are still almost like make a triangle, the top of your pubic bone and the top of your hip bones. If you wiggle your fingertips underneath, you should have this little gap called the neutral spine, okay? So we're gonna try and do those pelvic floor engagements we did at the beginning, but don't press into your fingertips. So we inhale to prepare. Exhale, pull the pelvic floor up. Belly button comes to spine, ribs knit together. Everything's nice and tight, but don't press into your hands, and release. Try not to engage the buttocks. Try not to push into the heels, and do not move that pelvic triangle. It stays nice and flat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. Squeeze up and hollow, level 1. Belly button to the spine, level 2. Ribs knit together, everything's nice and tight. Squeeze, 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 but don't press into your fingertips, and release. So in Pilates, we almost always work in the neutral spine, except when both feet are lifted. And I'll show you the imprint later. It's a little bit more advanced than we want to do today. But let's go ahead and also do some chin nods, just to get the neck in a nice natural position. So we're going to inhale, your back of your head's flat on the ground. We inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze deep and hollow and nod the chin towards the chest using your abdominal muscles and pelvic floor, and release. So we're not jamming it. We're just trying to use the deep neck flexors to move the chin towards the chest and release. If you put your hands on the sides of your neck, they shouldn't switch on. So you can put your tongue to the roof of the mouth if that helps. So we inhale to prepare. Exhale, pull the pelvic floor up, belly button to the spine. Nod the chin just an inch closer to the chest. Release. Last time. Inhale. Wide open exhale. Release. Now we go the other way. Inhale. Exhale. Nod it up. Release. Don't use the neck flexors. It's the deep neck flexors, not the muscles on the sides of the neck. Inhale. Exhale. Nod it up. Release. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Release. We're going to do our knee floats now. So fingertips on hips, thumbs on ribs, back to your golden square. Inhale to prepare. Squeeze dip and hollow and nothing moves as we float one knee to 90 degrees. You can put your fingertips on the knee and just make sure it sits straight down in that hip socket. It's nice and perpendicular. It's probably closer than you think you need to. Also check your shin. Is it up here or parallel to the floor? Inhale to prepare. Squeeze dip and hollow and watch that the 90-degree angle doesn't shift as we slowly lower it back down. Those hips should not move. They're in cement. Inhale to prepare. Squeeze dip and hollow and float the other knee to 90 degrees. At the top, put your fingertips there. Does it sit right down into this hip socket? Is your shin parallel? Inhale. Slowly, like you're moving through treacle. Don't let that 90-degree angle flop, okay? No floppy knees. Inhale. Squeeze it and hollow and float the first leg back up. Lovely. Inhale. And in your own time, lower it, lower it, lower it. It's okay if you move slower than me. Last time. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze it and hollow and float. At the top, we inhale and we slowly lower, lower, lower. So this is a good one to practice at home, okay? We're just gonna do one last little warm-up exercise on our bellies, and then we're gonna roll back up to standing. So I do this a lot in some of the workouts you're seeing. It's just a little tiny warm-up exercise called a baby cobra. It's not at all like a yoga cobra. You tend to do great big moves like this in yoga. This is going to literally look like this. Boof. Okay? You're moving just a few inches off the ground. But before we do that, put your legs to the side of the mat. Sort of press your pubic bone and your hips towards the mat and imagine your belly button coming up to your spine. So the belly button's creating a little tiny bridge so somebody could drive a tiny, tiny car underneath. Of course they can't, but you get the idea. Your belly button's pulling to the ceiling, your hips press to the floor. Your hands do not leave the ground on this one, okay? They're just in front of your shoulders at like a 90-degree angle. Forehead is on the mat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, pelvic floor up, belly button to the spine, the nose comes an inch along the mat, then the shoulders pull down as you come to your hover. Chin is tucked in, back of the neck long, inhale at the top, and slowly grow an inch taller as you lower down. Inhale to prepare. Squeeze it and hollow, shoulders pull down the back, nose comes along the mat an inch, and then you use the shoulder blade squeeze to come to your hover. Try not to push in your hands. Think about the back of the neck long, the pelvic floor lifted, inhale at the top. You can pull on the floor as you lower down as you try and grow an inch taller. Last one. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. Pull the nose along the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades down. Come up to your hover. If this feels comfortable, you can lift the hands and pull your elbows back to a W shape. Inhale at the top. Exhale slowly, slowly. Grow an inch taller. Child's pose, or whatever's comfortable for you, just to stretch it out. And that is all of your Pilates basics, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and roll to standing, but you can practice this. I mean, I still felt great. I've practiced since 2001, and it feels so good just to strip it back to the basics and really think about each muscle that you're trying to switch on, because we're trying to switch off the muscles that do the most work, are great big large muscles like quadriceps and gluteus maximus, and switch on the muscles that don't want to work as much, are tiny little stabilizing muscles around our joints. You can roll to standing however you want, as long as it's slow. I sometimes like to just send my Achilles towards the floor and open my toes, but this doesn't feel great for everyone who sometimes has knee problems. So it's totally up to you, but what we do want to do is just at the beginning, like we did, we want to nod the head yes and no, and let all the tension out. Yes and no. And then we take a deep breath in to prepare. And as we roll up, I like to walk my fingers up. The belly button pulls to the spine. The pelvis tucks under first before we put any weight on it. You can roll up as slow as you like. There's no such thing as too slow in Pilates, but there is too fast. And then you roll the shoulders down the back, and the back of the head, you can't see because I've lost you, but it grows nice and tall so that you feel like there's balloons pulling the back of the head to the sky. And then when you're ready, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, shoulders melt down your back and you grow an inch taller. Let's do it again. Inhale. And as you exhale, the shoulders melt down your back. You float to the ceiling, grow an inch taller. Last time. Give yourself applause. Welcome to the Pilates, Cathlates for the Hotties journey. Thank you so much for joining me. Any questions or comments, you can leave them below the video. You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Lido. You can join one of my courses at Zen2 Yoga, or you can just proceed to the video workouts. Make sure that you drink plenty of water and try to bring these principles into your everyday life. In the morning before you stand up, every time you stand up from a sitting position, find your Pilates posture, engage your pelvic floor, and make it part of your daily life. Thanks so much for joining.